I'm gazing over the evergreen cemetery amid 50,000 people, all held together in breathless silence. Abraham Lincoln, rising from the chair his tall body had been folded into, has just spoken. On this 19th day of November, 1863, in just 2 minutes of consecration, the president has fully captured the essence of the 3 fateful days in July that have come to be known as the Battle of Gettysburg. My name is Ginny Wade. People around here don't spell very well. If I ever go down in history, it's probably going to be as Jenny Wade. My beloved sister Georgianne is here among the crowd somewhere. Some people joke that we're secessionist sympathizers, what with supposedly being named after 2 southern states, Virginia and Georgia. But nothing could be further from the truth. Our family lives away north of here on Breckenridge Street, where Mama, Georgia, and I have supported ourselves and our 3 younger brothers as seamstresses ever since Father, so debilitated and broken, was committed to an asylum. When Georgia married John Lewis McClellan, they moved into a 2-story duplex in a red brick house on Baltimore Street, no more than a stone's throw from here at the base of Cemetery Ridge. Out of nostalgia, she took the quilt she'd made when she was a little girl of 5. John mustered out with the Pennsylvania Infantry last November, most likely not knowing that she was carrying his child. He's out there still. Mama moved so she could be with Georgia around the time sweet baby Louis was born on June 26th. Thinking it would be safe, we decided I would stay at home with my youngest brother and Isaac, the 6-year-old who we cared for as that dear child couldn't walk. But the winds of war were gathering, so I carried little Isaac all the way to Georgia's home, then returned for my brother, locked the door behind me, put the key in my pocket, and walked back. By Wednesday, July 1st, a fierce war was raging to the north, but then it shifted southward. It was terrifying. Instead of being safer at Georgia's, we were caught between Confederate sharpshooters in front of us and Union soldiers retreating and counterattacking on the back. Soon the walls of the house were pockmarked with uncountable numbers of bullet holes. We could neither leave through the front nor access our cellar door outside. But the plight of the Union soldiers tore unremittingly at my heart, and a side door allowed me to dash to the water pump and fill one after another pitcherful to slake the soldiers' thirst. After a while, as Georgia and Mama took care of the children, I was able to set about baking what bread I could for the famished boys. On the next day, July 2nd, the house was rocked violently by a 10-pound shrapnel shell fired from Oak Ridge intended for the Union's position behind us. Instead, it went through the roof and traveled diagonally through the attic. It punched a hole through the concrete wall that separated the 2 units and lodged on the opposite overhang. It's still sitting there, undetonated. God help us. I'm chagrined to say that I fainted from the fright. But still, before retiring that night, Mama and I set out sponge ferment to rise overnight so we could bake bread again in the morning. I was well awake by 4 a.m. on the 3rd. I kneaded the dough, left it to rise, and began my morning devotions. The Lord is my rock and my salvation. Of whom shall I be afraid? But when I got to when evil men advanced against me to devour my flesh, Georgia fell apart, begging that I stop. And of course I did. I said to Mama, if there's anyone to be killed in this house today, I hope it is me, as Georgia has that little baby. Maybe I should have kept praying after all. At 7 a.m., a barrage of Confederate bullets broke every pane of glass in the parlor window under which I'd just been resting. Then a bullet hit Georgia's bedpost, ricocheted against the mantel, and landed where she, Mama, and the baby had been lying, in a pile of splinters. But there was still bread to be made. At 8 o'clock in the morning, I ventured into the kitchen to shape the dough into loaves, then asked Mama to ready the stove fire. As soon as I spoke those words, a bullet bore through the front door, then improbably drilled through the kitchen door as well. Undeterred by those obstacles, it struck me in the back below my left shoulder blade. I fell. On hearing the sound, Mama turned to look, then with a strange calm went in the parlor, and then said, "Georgia, your sister is dead." The minie ball had come through my heart, and thus I became the only civilian casualty of the Gettysburg War. Georgia let out a scream fit to wake up all the spirits in the land, but I was not to return. In some way, I could sense their panic. I wanted them to know my heart trusted in him and I am helped, but they could not. Their cries brought a small group of Union soldiers who, knowing the family was in dire danger, braved their own death by coming into the house to move us to safety. There was no way to go other than through the attic. So the forlorn group crawled across it through the very opening in the concrete wall that the shell had made the day before, and back down and into the cellar of the south-facing duplex, where its residents, a poor widow with her 4 children, were already sheltering, shivering with fear. Those young soldiers then took Georgia's cherished quilt, wrapped my body in it, and carried me with such respect through those same steps, through that same gap, down those same doors into the dark, dank cellar. I can't imagine what it was like for that little band huddled closely in the shadows through that night. I could hear them, in hushed tones for the sake of the children, reading the same songs that I'd been saying that very morning. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. The fires of battle were at last extinguished on the following day, the 4th of July. It was Georgia's birthday, but neither that, nor the anniversary of the founding of our nation, nor the Union's hard-won victory were observed with hurrahs by them there. At 5 p.m., the soldiers placed my body in an abandoned casket, my dress flecked with flour, and my hands still encrusted with dough, and quietly lowered it into a reverently dug grave. Thus it was that I was buried in the yard at Georgia's house, and there my body remains today. Perhaps someday I too will rest in this now ravaged cemetery when it returns to its once peaceful glory, to lie by those who valiantly fought so that this nation shall not perish from this earth. If that time comes, I hope that Jack, my dear betrothed, will be buried near me. He died on a faraway field of battle 9 days after I did, never knowing that I had preceded him to the holy grounds. We were to be married in September. Besides the key to the Breckenridge house, when I was struck down, his photograph was, as ever, in my pocket. That evening, Mama took the dough that had been waiting in the kitchen and baked 15 loaves of bread for the brave and bedraggled boys in blue. I wonder if President Lincoln will ever know that we too fought the battle, not with bullets, but with bread. This is dedicated to all who even now are giving their last full measure of devotion for the cause of freedom, and to those who feed them. Slava Ukraini! Thank you.